esteemed delegates, guests. We are here to consider how is Bihar a promising IT investment destination. I am not intending to take much of the time myself. I intend to invite people from industry to say what they need. I will just touch upon some of the items. I need not elaborate on the policies, they are already available on the internet. And I can also mention that if any of the valid requirements, pressing needs of the industry is not found in our IT policy, that you can always heard or may not, the communication may not be complete. Now, I only have to say a few words what may enthuse industries in the IT sector or HSDM sector to come to Bihar. First is talent. Bihar has talent of a very high quality. Go anywhere, you will find people from Bihar who would be contributing their intellectual prowess to the upliftment of the country or to the company that they are working for. So there is no dearth of talent, that could be assured. So one big business opportunity is to get this raw talent and convert it into actionable talent, which means training, education, literacy, etc. So we can assure that there would be no shortage of talent for the industries that are coming to Bihar. Second is IT infrastructure, the connectivity, the devices. It goes without saying that in a very short time, Bihar will be perhaps the best connected state in the world. As I mentioned briefly earlier, we intend to move up from 8 Mbps speed to 10,000 Mbps speed at the cost which is less than the cost of 8 Mbps. Now how? I am not going to spell out. You will find it as a big bang when we unveil it. The solution would be before you. So if we are able to connect all our districts with 1 lambda, we are now no longer thinking of 1 gigabit per second. With 10 gigabits per second of speed, and if we are able to connect all our blocks with 1 gigabit per second of speed, any industry which wants to come here could imagine the kind of connected universe that is on offer in this state. So with connectivity and with the kind of devices, low cost, medium cost, high cost, depending on what usage is envisaged, it is an intellectually connected space. So the infrastructure, whether it be land, electricity, urban amenities, roads, all that is for everyone to see. If there is anything extra to be done, we would encourage industry participants to mention that, and we would be willing to provide that. But every industry wants to have market. Without market, the industry would not be attracted to come here. Yes, in the IT field, one could work from anywhere. But if somebody is coming to Bihar and we provide you the market and also say that you set up your shop here, market is assured for you, and for the market that we give, we would require preferential access for those things that are manufactured in Bihar or developed in Bihar. You are also assured of your returns. One big market segment you just saw when from the Jivika group we had 5 ladies who were totally illiterate. But you see the enthusiasm and shine in their eyes, the kind of empowerment that they have felt operating the tablets, the low-cost tablets, is unimaginable. And after 4 or 5 hours of training, even when we buy a new gadget, we spend 4 or 5 or even 10 hours to learn. What is the difference between educated people like us and illiterate like those people in terms of technology absorption? I could not find any difference. They are as smart as we could be. So, what next? Are we destined to be laggards? No. We will perhaps be the first in the world to claim that every lady in every household of Bihar is digitally literate and digitally empowered. And then you will see the transformation of Bihar from this level to perhaps levels one could not imagine. And if we want to do that, what are the possibilities in the hardware sector? Somebody will have to manufacture the gadgets. Not only the tablets, many other associated gadgets. Who will do that? Here is a captive market. Who will spread the literacy, the digital literacy? There is a captive market. 3 crore households of Bihar need to be made digitally literate. And if the lady is made literate, the children will become digitally literate. The lady may also be able to teach the children using the tablet. And in the process may also become literate. So this is a paradigm shift that is taking place in Bihar. The demand for gadgets will be in multiples of 3 crore, be it tablet, be it associated devices that will make the tablet into maybe ECG monitor, maybe health devices. The possibilities are immense. Who will manufacture that? If we say that manufacturing for consumption in Bihar has to happen in Bihar, the industry, they can come forward. So the market access will also help us grow in that direction. Since we are the beginners in utilizing the e-learning space, there is a huge potential. That could begin here. Health. We need to improve upon health. E-health will be one. The intellectual properties could be created by people in Bihar who are well connected, going to be well connected very shortly. And Bihar has taken a lead in launching the right to public services. Now that right is going to expand further and further. People have a right to seek certain services from the government. Later on, this may expand from the private sector also. This service-based approach also opens up huge amount of opportunities for the industries that may like to set up shop here. There may be a small presentation on the right to public services, the way it is being rolled out, but rest assured that ambit is going to expand many-fold. So basic ingredients for any industry to come here and succeed and make profit and be in a win-win situation for the state as well as for the industry is available here. I think this is the time that investment decisions must be made now. And I am sure, I am sanguine that many of you coming from the industry would be willing to come up and declare what your intentions are or what you plan to do in Bihar in future. Maybe we will be able to dovetail your requirements, your projections and our growth trajectories in a wonderfully win-win situation for all. So this is just an overview. I only expect that if anybody is interested, they may send a slip so that we could hear you. This is more in the form of a dialogue. We need to know from you. It should not be a one-way traffic that we keep on coming here and bombarding you. It is that kind of participative approach which will take us to the next level. Another big area which I forget is the big data analytics. Anyone who might be intending to do something great in that area is also most welcome. So literacy, education, health, big data analytics, creation of intellectual property rights, the devices, electronic hardware, manufacturing, software development, name it, it will be available here with your cooperation. So I wind up here. If anyone has anything to say, please send a slip. Otherwise, the panelists will also explain whatever they have to say. And we hope that this dialogue that will begin today will be continued in future, and we will all be connected, and very soon in the next mega event like this, we would have shown you progress all collectively. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Networking and connectivity will surely be the game changer in the next couple of years' time in the state of Bihar. I now request the session chair, Shri B.V. Naidu ji, Chairman, Sagitor Ventures India Private Limited, to address the audience. Can you please come up, sir? Okay. So, Shri B.V. Naidu ji will moderate the session from here on. Can we have a mic, please?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think that as the session name says that the emerging destination for IT companies, and we already have a excellent overview from Mr. N.K. Sinha, Principal Secretary, IT and BT. Perhaps all of you are aware that attracting the IT investments needs an ecosystem. Ecosystem does need academic institutions or the skill development centers which can create the manpower, and also you need an industry which can absorb that manpower, and also you need to have a friendly policy and promotion aspects coming from the government. So basically what is needed is the academicians and the industry and the government should work together in creating such an ecosystem. Then the industry would start coming into the area. This is what exactly happened in Karnataka for last 2 decades. This is an excellent cooperation between the government and industry and then academic institutions which has given the fuel growth in Karnataka. So with that background, I think in our panel we have an excellent panelist. We have Mr. Atul Sinha, Managing Director, Beltran, giving the perspective of what the IT policy related issues from the Bihar state, and Mr. Vinod Nair to my left is the Vice President and the VC of the Contact Center, AGC Networks Limited, and he can give you the perspective from the industry what AGC Networks has been doing in Bihar and their experience has been. And we also have Dr. Ashwini Kumar Sharma, who is the Managing Director of the NELIT, who is the responsible organization from the Government of India in capacity building across the country, and probably can spell out what exactly the NELIT plans are in Bihar. And then we also have our 3D hero, Dr. Berry, and who saw the potential here in Bihar the last 14 years back, and he came and developed this industry. I believe this is more than 450 people team right now here, and what his experience has been in case if his company could become an anchor company in attracting the investments coming here. With this backdrop, now I request each of the panelists to speak for probably 5 to 6, 7 minutes, and then the floor will be open to the questions from the audience, and we can make it more interactive than more of addressing the long addresses from the people. So I think overall all the 4 speakers would take probably 25 minutes to 30 minutes, and then we can have an interactive questions from the audience. Can I request Mr. Atul Sinha, Managing Director, Bihar, Beltran, to speak about that?
Good afternoon to all of you, gentlemen. Can you please switch over to the presentation? In few minutes' time, I would just like to briefly apprise you the salient features of IT policies of Bihar. Let me share with you that few months back, when ICT Core Committee under my chairmanship has visited Bangalore, and when we presented this IT salient features to number of associations, Semiconductor Association, Manufacturing Association, by the courtesy of Mr. Naidu, all of them said that yes, Bihar government has made a wonderful IT policy, and all those ingredients that can attract any IT investment are already there in IT policy. The only problem is that nobody other than Bihar or even people in Bihar don't know really that what are the advantages that they can realize. So let me just take this opportunity to show this forum that what are the salient features, very, very attractive salient features of Bihar IT policy. We have categorized it in main reasons for emerging Bihar emerging as a IT investment destination. So special incentives and grants provided by the government to attract investments. less time and few procedures required to start a business, growing potential of Patna, Gaya and Hajipur among tier 2 cities, and easy availability of a skilled talent pool. This everybody would acknowledge is the greatest strength of Bihar. In every IT industry of this country, a rough figure is that around 12 to 15% software engineers hail from Bihar, directly or indirectly. The focus of ICT policy is on business and social infrastructure, on production and post-production benefits, and single window clearance. Just like to elaborate some of them. 100% exemption in stamp duty and registration fee in lease, sale and transfer of land. Reimbursement of 30% of the fee paid for the technical know-how. Incentives on land for small units 50% or 15 lakhs, for large units 25% or 30 lakhs. Incentive grant on plant and machinery for captive power plant and diesel generating set, 50% on the plant and machinery cost and 60% in case it is non-conventional sources like solar. Huge investment on subsidy on capital investment, reimbursement of 20% of the capital investment made on hardware and IT equipment, software and network equipments. For smaller units, this is limited to 75 lakh rupees, but this maximum limit of capital subsidy has been raised to rupees 3 crores in case of projects units creating employment of more than 100 citizens in EHM units and 500 citizens in case of IT projects units and 1000 citizens in case of ITES projects, or attracting an investment of rupees 50 crores or more. We have advantage in entry tax, we have advantage in central cess tax. In our IT policy, the IT units, ITES units and EHM units which produce items attracting zero VAT and pay income tax would be eligible for an incentive up to a maximum utilization of 70% of the installed capacity. If somebody wants to participate in international events, 30% subsidy in respect of stall rent. No location restriction for companies that use, for smaller companies that use power up to 5 kVA. 25% rebate in power tariff for 3 years, limited to an amount of rupees 30 lakhs and are also eligible for industrial category power tariff. 100% exemptions on luxury tax and electricity duty for 7 years. 100% exemption on land conversion fee. So you can see, if you sum up, and if a medium class IT industry or IT enabled services industry of approximate value of investment of 50 crores to 100 crores, you will find that if we sum up all these concessionaires that is already present in IT policy of Bihar, you will find tremendous amount of strength in Bihar's IT policy. And probably it can make a very, very profitable venture for any company, IT company, to start up their shop, start up their development center in Bihar. We have a lot of initiatives. Honorable Chief Minister have just now apprised that yesterday a landmark decision has been taken by Cabinet. You all are aware that a ICT core committee was formed under the mentorship of Bangalore Group, and we have prepared a recommendation, and yesterday Cabinet of Bihar has approved that recommendations, the report of ICT committee, and the few slides that I am going to show you next is all about that recommendation. Now after approval of Cabinet, it becomes the law of the land, and therefore all these things hold good now. So we have tried to set up an ambitious target for growth of IT ecosystem, revenue targets in terms of business volume for 5,000 crores till 2016-17. We are trying to build IT parks, as Honorable Chief Minister has already apprised you. 1 lakh in next 1 to 2 years time frame, 5 lakh square feet in next 3 to 4 years time frame, and 16.3 lakh square feet in next 5 to 7 years time frame. And accordingly, we are expecting IT jobs to be generated in the tune of 5,000 to 1 lakh by 2016-17. So there is a clear roadmap, and I would also like to apprise you that Software Technology Park, just outside this Maurya Hotel, 6th floor of this building, Biscoman building, that is available with IT department. Beltron is running Software Technology Park in that. about 70,000 square feet area is there, and presently around 50,000 square feet area available in Biscuman Tower. We are offering it to the early movers of IT company who can avail lot of facilities from Bihar government to set up their shops there. Few companies have already shown their interest, and I think now with the approval of cabinet, this will start rolling very, very fast. For short-term plan, as I mentioned, it is near Dak Bangla Charaha, a world-class IT park we are going to build. As mid-term plan at Bandar Bagicha, 5 lakh square feet in next 3 to 4 years. And as long-term perspective, Behta, we are going to build an IT park in Behta in next 5 to 7 years. This is the plot area just adjacent to IIT Patna. We are also planning to make a mega IT infrastructure in 200 acres of land. A smart city is proposed near Nalanda University. We are also proposing to start a Japanese cluster near Bodh Gaya. High-level dialogues are shortly going to start with Japanese government in this regard. We are willing to offer free to move in space in our Biscuman building for few early mover company to Bihar. EHDM Innovation Center is proposed in IIT Patna. Honorable Chief Minister has just now announced that angel funds with 25 crore rupees contribution from Government of Bihar would be announced shortly. It has taken the shape because Cabinet has approved it now. 100-seater incubation center we are going to start in BIT Patna campus, where the young entrepreneurs will get an opportunity to open their offices at a very, very nominal cost, and this will encourage the IT entrepreneurship in Bihar. Naidu sir, this is as per your special recommendation that local entrepreneurship must be developed for any IT state to develop. We will be shortly creating a PMA in IT department, which will not only conduct the road shows all across the country and across the world round the year, and it will also help in clearance of IT investment proposals and disbursement of incentives. We have a plan to open Triple IT Patna under the mentorship of Triple IT Bangalore. That would be the Institute of Excellence, and it will further strengthen the IT strength of Bihar. Bihar government is planning to release electronic hardware manufacturing policy shortly, because a new wave is starting in this country for electronic hardware manufacturing. Central government is also encouraging that, and we are also going to announce a policy which will really cover and which will really attract hardware manufacturing also in the state. We are going to have separate funds. Now IT department will be given separate fund for branding of Bihar. Honorable Chief Minister has accepted the recommendation of Mr. Naidu then and there, and said that we will start now the road shows in other parts of the country. Wi-Fi hotspot we have already started as a demo project, and in next few weeks it will be available across this one. And this is the final point, sir, that Bihar government has a vision to establish Patna and Bihar as hub center for multimedia technologies down the lane 3 to 5 years. And Bihar government will do whatever is required to strengthen this cause, so that down the line 3 to 5 years down the lane across the country, Bihar emerges as the multimedia center, hub center of the country. That is the vision that Bihar government has. We are planning to give special incentives for multimedia technology companies. We are planning to start special courses in engineering colleges and otherwise also professional courses, to see that Patna and Bihar is established on the high-tech map of the world as multimedia capital of the world. We are going to start very soon we will be launching a business plan contest, and winners of those business plan contests would not only be rewarded, but they would also be recommended for angel venture capital funding for their selected projects. These are some of the major upcoming IT projects. I think quickly just show you human development. IT Secretary Sir has already told. You have also seen a demonstration. E-Shakti is a flagship project of Government of Bihar, biometric authentication, and now we are planning that Social Welfare Department and EPDS shop distribution, the food grains distribution would also be done through this biometric system of E-Shakti. Bihar's E-Shakti platform is quite superior to the central government UID program in 4 aspects, sir. That I would like to take a minute to emphasize. Number 1, under E-Shakti project, every citizen gets a smart card, which he can use for availing the citizen services, which is not there in UID, sir. The service delivery is not only online, it is offline also. You can appreciate that in rural India, still consistent and a continuous connectivity is a problem. And therefore, only online authentication as given in UID may not work very well for rural areas. Therefore, E-Shakti is superior because E-Shakti does provide online as well as offline authentication. Another very important point that in E-Shakti, before a card is issued to a citizen, a zero balance account, bank account is definitely opened, and a citizen is given the card along with that number, bank account number embedded in that, which is again not there in UID. So on these grounds, I say that E-Shakti is more closer, more appropriate for realization of actual services, because sir, this poor man, really you don't know when his bank account will be opened and how he will avail the services. Therefore, I feel that Bihar government's initiative, this E-Shakti project is working in Patna district, in all the districts. In last 6 months, a lot of development has taken place, and now it is going to be expanded in other districts of Bihar, and it will become a flagship project. And through this project, it will work as a multi-service delivery platform for many citizen services to be delivered through biometric authentication. We are trying to create a IT room at every block, which will serve as a back office for all the officers of all the government functionaries of block. We are trying to connect a VSAT connectivity at panchayat level, through which it will be independent of power and it will be independent of connectivity. Through solar and VSAT, we will place a TV in every panchayat, and we will try to run educational program, we will try to conduct government informative programs and whatnot on that TV for all panchayat together. We are trying to computerize taxes in Bihar. We are trying to comprise PDS in big way. In a small way, we have already started for the entire state. Certain portions have already been started, and many more features will be added in next 6 months' time. E-District is successfully working in Bihar in 4 pilot districts, and Bihar has got a special feat that I would like to share with you, that more than 40 lakh digitally signed certificates have been issued in Bihar, which is highest in the country. Through E-District platform, in just 4 districts, 40 lakh digitally signed certificates have already been issued, highest in the country. And now Bihar government is planning to roll out the E-District in remaining 34 districts. IT Secretary Sir has already talked about big data analytics. I need not emphasize. Kaushal Vikas Mission also, MD Nilet would probably throw more light on this. And these are the list of few projects that it is already happening, ongoing in government of Bihar, and Beltron is definitely instrumental in making all this happen. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sinha. I think all of you will appreciate that Bihar has the best IT policy in terms of the incentives what is spelled out. If really a company which is willing to invest up to 50 crore to 100 crore, I think they would get enough subsidy both in terms of the rental fee and excise duty, CST, VAT, and the capital subsidy, together probably around 20 to 23% of incentives you get back from the government. Plus, another thing, what happened was 6 months back when these people came to Karnataka, after all of deliberations, we gave in a 15-point action plan. And to our surprise, yesterday he told that the cabinet has approved all those 15 action points. So what it means is now this IT policy has become an IT policy plus plus with all the 15 other additional incentives that are coming from the government. And then he also spoke about the branding. The branding, a separate fund is being created. More than all these things, the policy also, as an IT department, I think they are spending a lot of money in the e-governance, which is going to be a major opportunity for the companies who are other parts of the country. And the only thing is you need to link up those companies with the preferential market access, making sure that they use this opportunity to create an employment within Bihar instead of serving them, these projects from outside the Bihar. So thank you very much, Ms. Sinha. I think end of this session you can ask if there are any few questions. Now let me request Dr. Ashwini Kumar, the Managing Director of the NILIT, to give his perspective on the human resources importance for developing this industry and also what are the plans of the NILIT in Bihar.
Thank you, Naidu. Distinguished panelists over here and Akas Kathy. I think I will try to cover within 5 minutes 3-4 major agendas because I think they are more relevant to all of us. One is that what are the ingredients for making IT industry to come over here in Bihar and set up their activities, which almost Sinha sir and Mr. Naidu and MD has already spoken about, but still I will just list it out. Then, what is my life experience? Because the perception or the background which we had or what image we carry, I belong to Rajasthan and I carry a different image when I've been talking to my bureaucrats or my counterparts about the Bihar. But how it has changed during last 1.5 years when I've been interacting over here. Then what is the plan on NILIT, especially in the field of capacity building? And then what we lack over here, because just everyone can speak to say what is to be brought up, that is more important. But as far as IT industry is concerned, because I have attached with the industry for last 30 years, traveled to many countries, worked in many MNCs, and now working in the government for last 20 years, I could find that basically IT industry is mainly dependent on manpower. And manpower is the raw material for this industry. Other industry has got coal, steel, food material, but this is the only industry where basically you have got the manpower and everything is dumped in the brain of the person who is working on that. The technology goes away with the manpower. So this is one of the ingredients. So what I mean by this is basically since now Bihar has got IIT, NIT, lot of private engineering colleges, and the way CM has been kind enough to NILIT also to give 15 acres of land free of cost in Beta, which was inaugurated last year, and the way we are putting investment over there, I think there is no shortage of manpower as on date. It is also a fact that which Mr. Sinha said just now, that in the country or in the IT industry, on an average 12% professionals are from Bihar. That's the background. It means genetically there is no issue in taking up the industry production over here. Second is the major component which counts is the good governance. And the way during last 7, 8, 9 years, the governance has taken a change, metamorphosis change which has taken place. Because I do remember when I was in college in 1980s, I used to get afraid of Bihar. When somebody used to say you have to go to Bihar or your friend is from Bihar, there was something in the mind. But the way it has changed in last 10, 12 years, the image has gone up like anything, and which is an outcome of the big good job done by the bureaucrats over here and the government. It means basically which means the governance has taken a shape. There is a good governance which is existing. The third is the available funds, because IT industry is being generally promoted by youngsters. So there has to be a funding agency, there has to be some venture capital over for them. But I do appreciate the way I heard in the morning that already the cabinet has approved the angel fund. I think they are ahead of what we have been thinking. Again, a good initiative taken by the Bihar government. So this will meet out the requirement of the entrepreneurs or especially the youngsters who are coming up and planning to go for setting up an industry. Then a supporting policy, which Atul has just given a presentation, how the policy is very good as comparable to other states and how this policy supports the investment in the state. And last and not the least, that is ownership by the government. See, what is happening is you make policies, you roll out the policies, you make commitments on the dais, but if you don't have ownership, then basically nothing will happen. Why I am saying this point again is because I do remember when I came first time and I had a meeting, had an occasion to meet the Honorable CM, and when we made a request to him that we want to start our operation, he immediately agreed and said, okay, we'll give you this much land in so-and-so area, you have to start planning out and get the funding for that. Not only this, I do remember when I am there in the DIT for last 1.5 years in Government of India, and this is probably one of the state, rather the only state where the Principal Secretary IT, other than Secretary IT, Shri A.K. Singh Saab, he went himself with a proposal saying that we want a capacity building organization to be set up by DIT in Bihar. I mean, that was the initiative. Otherwise, we have been approaching to the CM and the Secretary saying that you give us the land, we'll do the building funding and we'll set up the center. I do remember probably this was one of the states where the then Secretary A.K. Singh Sir has gone and he pleaded about the proposal before the Secretary IT and the High Power Committee and finally got a project in Patna. Similarly, I do remember that when I came last time in October 2012, this is one of the states in the country where there was a one-day capacity building plan or being organized for the Honorable Cabinet, members of the Honorable Cabinet. This was also a very good initiative which shows that the Cabinet, the key policy makers are also taking interest in promotion of IT industry. Now, not only this, I do remember we had a function, I met Principal Secretary Sinha Sir, and finally we had a very good function last year, and we had some problems. We approached him and he has been very kind enough in getting organizing the meeting, calling the collector, calling the SP, SDM, and finally resolving the issues. Not only this, when we approached him saying that sir in Viscom Tower where we have been given some space, we need more space, can you make us available that space also? So Sinha sir has been very kind enough to get that space to us. We have taken the position yesterday only and now we are planning, we will furnish it out within a month's time and we will start out rolling our courses also. Now the commitment of the government to promote the IT literacy or the IT among the government servant is also visible from the fact that government has made some rules and regulations and they are planning that whosoever is going through the IT literacy course, they will be given some reimbursement either in terms of cash or maybe some, I don't know, I mean, I'm not about the policy part, but something is coming up. Not only this, we do target that once we are able to set up our center by putting an investment around 42 crore rupees in Behta. The work has already been given to NBCC, which is a Government of India public sector. They have already laid down some boundary wall. There was some issues which has been already resolved now. And we are sure that within a year's time we will be able to come up our own center there, full-fledged center. Besides this, we have already tied up with 110 private partners throughout the Bihar, where we are basically rolling out the IT courses. And I am sure with this rolling out, at least we will be able to bring the digital literacy component. Because this is the digital divide which can only be taken out and which can only bridge, because now the globe has become a village because of this IT technology. So it is a fact that once we are able to bridge the gap between the digital divide, I think we can work like a globe. And as in the morning, Honorable CM said that it is not the location like where you have to go, let's say Patna or Ranchi or some other place. It can be a town also. The way we could listen in the morning also that he is operating in the Bihar state for last 14 years at a remote place. So I think location is not an important. Important is the manpower availability, the support from the government, and the keenness to work, and the ownership or the commitment from the government. The one thing which I feel which is lagging over here is because IT professionals are high-profile professionals, and they need to stay in a good hotel, which is very much lagging over here. So I do remember Government of India allows me only 6,000 rupees a month, I mean per stay, maybe 8,000 as a CEO of the organization. But the cost of one hotel which I am staying here is I think 12,000 rupees. So that needs to be taken care because see, the moment you are planning to attract investment, you are planning to call investors, you are planning to call CEOs of the different IT organizations, you need to provide a good location to stay. Otherwise, I've been asking my officers over here to search for good hotels, and finally this is the only hotel which I could find where I can make my stay. But looking to the cost, I keep remembering of Delhi at least, where I can get a better hotel in this same price there. So I will request to Principal Secretary Sinha sir that he should take this point also into policy that those who are coming from other than Bihar for investment or something like that, there should be an incentive for them to make a stay in some good location. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sharma ji. I think Dr. Sharma has given a perspective, not just the importance of doing the capacity building and what the plans are from the NILE, but also importance of training the government staff, including the the cabinet. So that's very important. And also, I think the social infrastructure, the hotels and social infrastructure is also very, very essential. I think, Mr. Sinha, I think you need to take this input as an important input to take forward within the government. Now let me request Mr. Vinod Nair, Vice President of the AGC Networks Limited, to give his perspective, what has been the experience of AGS Networks and what else that he expects from the government and from the ecosystem to support for the industry to grow here.
All right. Good afternoon, dignitaries. First of all, a very warm welcome to everyone, and a big thank you to the dignitaries and to the sponsors and the organizers for giving us an opportunity to speak here. What I thought, Mr. Naidu, that I'll probably take a little bit deviation from what you suggested, because I believe all the panelists over here probably were, going to speak around the fact of what is expected out of Bihar from making it an IT savvy state. And attracting more of IT investments. I would like to rather try and do a little bit different in the sense that probably take up a cue from what we have done in some other places or other states in terms of creating infrastructure which is digital or IT infrastructure which has been which has been helping other states in creating that mark of being known as an IT savvy state. So there are a lot of e-governance initiatives, and the spectrum is really large. You can go about talking right from giving essential services to probably digitally enabling the lowest strata of the society, or for that matter you can even look at a few other investments which are around providing tablets and those things. But essentially what really drives down any investment in IT is how much does that investment really trickle down to benefits to the people. Now if you look at any state government's real prosperity, right? The economic prosperity, what most people look at, is got to do with three key things. One is the fact that they look at the straight gross happiness index, which is basically about how happy are the citizens in that particular state, which has also got to do a lot with probably the economic activity that happens in the state. The second thing is around what experience does that citizen of that state enjoy when it comes to getting basic services, or for that matter interacting with various departments within the state. And third, and which we believe is becoming increasingly important, specifically after the lot of importance that has been given to UID and what Mr. Sinha spoke about, the E-Shakti project, right, which is around accessibility. I mean, the more accessible a state government portrays itself to be, the more likelihood that that state government would probably get their citizens' thumbs up when it comes to their governance per se. So I think all these three parameters, no doubt they are driven by ultimately by the service delivery of that particular state government employees, which are basically the government's people. But apart from that, it also has a lot to do with what basic infrastructure does that state government create in terms of delivering these type of services? And that's where companies like us, or for that matter, technology OEM partners, whether it's a Cisco or many other guys like the Microsofts and the other OEMs of the world, same thing being around health.
Excuse me, gentlemen at the back. Gentlemen at the back, I request you to keep quiet. Now, if at all there need to be any discussions, I request you to move out of the room, please.
Thank you, Mr. Yeah, and the second thing being around healthcare, which is giving affordable healthcare to a larger mass of the audience, and finally around disaster management. So we'll touch upon these three aspects of the solution, and this really comes from the earlier discussion that we had, Mr. Naidu, which was around the fact that what has AGC done in other places which we would like to see being done in Bihar, right? So. And I would like to also mention here that we don't want to be mere prophesists over here by just giving a prophecy that this is what Bihar should do. But I think a step forward from our organization standpoint would be that we would like to adopt a school or take up one particular community or village where we would like to deploy and do a POC of this particular concept if we are given a particular opportunity. So what does the whole education gamut really cover? I mean, the education gamut really covers a lot of aspects around what can get done. But what's more important from a state government perspective, or what can get deployed on an immediate perspective, is around doing something called as the smart classroom offering. Now, a smart classroom studio, which we have developed for another state government, has been around creating an infrastructure in such a fashion that you could have a single classroom or a single faculty being replicated across 5 different locations at the same time. What does that mean? That means that, let's say for example, you have a very high-end faculty. Now, we're thinking about a lot of technical high-end education, but how many campuses can you create and how many faculty can you attract? And what's the chances that your one faculty that you get to the state is able to reach a larger mass of students? So what we've done is created a smart class studio, which is basically a product which we created using various technologies. This allows a single faculty to do a studio, a sort of a session with students in a particular class, and the same thing getting replicated in 5 different locations at the same time. This, mind you, does not mean that it's just a one-way traffic. It means that it's a two-way traffic wherein voice, video and data, which is even presentation, is beamed off to the far end. The students at the far end can even ask the questions, can also interact, and at the same time, the whole session looks as though the particular presenter or the faculty is in 5 different locations at the same time. This is a project that we did for Maharashtra, for an institute called the Indian Institute of Scientific Education and Research. It's again a high-end research institute which needed a specific solution to be created. A second solution around healthcare, which I would like to highlight here, which we've done, and I feel that it's another place where the state government could take a clue on, is something called as the virtual OPD. Now, what we did in virtual OPD is that you've now, for example, today we gave off a few tablets to the illiterate people, right? You could have all of these tablets or these particular devices being, made telemedicine ready. So what does that mean? You could have extension counters at hospitals, you could have individuals coming in from homes and from offices, or you could have self-help kiosk centers where you could have people coming in and making a request onto this particular virtual OPD, which is nothing but a software that resides in the data center. The state has already created a state data center. All you need to do is deploy this particular solution at the state data center. You would have a lot of these government doctors, recognized doctors from various locations. Mind you, they need not be at a central location or anything that way. They are again at various other locations. They get logged in into this particular software, and the requests are made by the respective people, okay? So there is a patient who has a specific complaint which is related to, let's say, for example, an eye checkup or something like that. he goes to the extension counter, makes a request for a particular service which is related to the eye checkup. It checks on the availability of a suitable eye doctor, right, which is available for servicing that particular request. And basis that, this particular service of actually doing the consultation part is done online using the power of collaboration. So this is another one thing that we have done for one of the state governments in Odisha, where we have done similar remote patient monitoring systems. So we have captured most of the data which is related to the patient's vital statistics, and then beamed it across to the doctor to give us a consultation which is online. The third concept which I spoke about was around the disaster management concept. So as you know, the government has already created something called as a disaster management structure within India. But at the same time, the structure talks a lot around the ability to collaborate between various entities. So there is obviously the district collector who is primarily responsible for that particular district in making sure that during a disaster there is a proper flow of communication as well as dispatch of emergency services. But what is missed out really is the ability to capture this particular information and have it monitored centrally. So there is something called as a data center or disaster management command center that we create at the center. This can be done at the state data center, where you could have all these particular feeds from various other parameters of the touch points to the citizens being beamed across to this particular central location and servicing those specific requests that comes during a emergency response. And coupled to that, you could have a mobility solution wherein you have a blast of calls being generated across to various entities, because over here during a disaster, the most important thing is about the ability to reach out to a lot of people to make sure that your information is disseminated in the right fashion. So these are the three things that we've done when it comes to creating sort of infrastructure where organizations feel safe, feel that the citizen services are being delivered at to all the citizens. So that's one of the things that we feel as a technology vendor we can get to the table. I don't want to be a person who's here just to ask from the state government saying that make these things available or those things available for us to do business here. But I think from our standpoint, we would like to offer to probably take up a few of these particular projects as our pet projects in terms of creating those particular proof of concepts for the state government and giving that service as our part of capability of serving the nation. And that's all from my side in terms of what I feel would make the state a little bit more IT savvy once these particular initiatives are implemented. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Nair. I think this is a different perspective you brought in. What a corporate like AGS Networks can do for the social development in Bihar. So now let me ask Dr. Berry Sandhu, founder and CEO of 3D Listen, to speak about his views on the setting up this facility in Bihar and what he would like to do. I was told that you had plans to set up a much larger facility in another country. The straight question is, are you likely to move that here?
Thank you. This was easy for me because, frankly, I don't have to prove my commitment to Bihar. I've been here for 14 years, and I've had an incredibly positive relationship with Uno Digital, which is a partnership between Legend 3D and Uno Digital. The unique thing about it, and this may sound very poor business to just about everybody in this room, but for the 14 years, the majority of those 14 years, our business has been based on a handshake, no contract. That doesn't happen in the world. It doesn't happen between a United States company and an Indian company, but it does happen between Legend and Uno, and it does happen between California and Bihar. And that's something to be very proud of. Now, in the 3D industry, the 3D industry is growing, and there's a lot of tax incentives from other countries, Canada, UK, and a number of other places, and those are important. And we're looking at actually using some, one of these tax incentive programs. But you can't have that alone. You also have to have a labor force in another country with lower labor costs, and Bihar is my place of choice, of course. And what we want to do is not only increase the number of films that we're going to be converting, but we also want to get into other things like animation and gaming, various other industries that are related to what we do right now. And that's going to take a lot of people. So that's really where the expansion is going to happen. It's not going to happen necessarily in bringing everybody here from that's doing colorization, in 3D. It's going to come from these other industries, the other verticals that we want to get into. And we will be getting into them. Let me explain to you a little bit of what we do. And then, everybody have glasses? 3D glasses? Yeah? Do you? Does everyone have glasses? Okay. Let me explain to you what we do and what's unique about it. And then I want to show you some of the work that Uno Digital and Legend 3D is so proud of. You can take a movie and you can shoot it in 3D with 2 cameras. The other way to do it is to shoot it with 1 camera and then convert it in computers. I invented the core technology that allows us to do that. We have 2 other competitors in the entire world, only 2 other competitors in the entire world who can do it. They use different technology. I definitely consider mine superior, of course, but and it's been proven because we have the best quality, the highest quality. It's actually, if you convert a movie from 2D to 3D, it's very often a higher quality product than if you shoot it in 3D. We've done a lot of movies, but we've also done a lot of commercials. And one of the first things I'd like to show you, because one of the things I want to tell you is it's not just movies, it's also television, it's commercials, it's documentaries. I'm going to show you some of the commercials that we've done right now. If we could get the menu up. Now, keep in mind, everything you're going to see, this is unique, everything you're going to see are commercials that were created in 2D, and they were never intended to be in 3D, ever. These were an afterthought. And it was an afterthought because all of these beautiful 3D movies are coming out in the theaters in the United States, and nobody wants to see a dull 2D commercial next to a 3D feature film. And brand recognition is extremely high when you show something in 3D. Brittany, do we have it? Yeah? Okay, let's play it.
Deep in the woods, there's a village filled with joyful and happy Smurfs. And one particular...
Now, I'm going to show you the power of what we do and how important it is, because virtually any feature film, any old feature film, any new feature film can be put into 3D. How many people have seen the movie 300? Could you show me here? Well, the movie 300, yeah. How many people have seen The Matrix? Matrix? Okay. Well, these are 2 movies that are older movies. They've been out for a long time. And we took some clips and we actually converted them. All right, so this will give you an idea of how powerful it is and the quality we can do it. You're also going to see some amazing documentary footage that we did, that we converted. Again, all 2D, shot 2D with 1 camera. We went to Legend 3D and Uno, and we converted it to 3D. So can we see the demos, please?
Demo. you're so sure was real? How would you know the difference between the dream and the real?
As well as the next session is also people are waiting. So I'm sorry about it. And can we take some 2 or 3 questions to the panel before we conclude the session? They are not.
Yeah. Anybody can give the mic? Yeah. He's willing to ask.
Please settle down fast. Who would like to ask the question? Please raise your hand.
Just 2 or 3 questions, that's it.
Yeah, 3 questions now. Please quickly pass the mic to the concerned person. Please raise your hand who would like to ask the question.
Okay, go ahead please.
Mic.
Can we have the mic to this gentleman? Please stand up so that you are visible to everyone.
Good afternoon, sir. First of all, I would like to thank Atul Sinha sir and Beltron for opening our incubation center at VIT. It's really great, sir. Now, coming to my question, sir, I would like to ask, is there any policy of government of Bihar to give hands-on training experience to young techies in the various live projects which are running in Bihar? So, is there anything for this? Thank you.
I can take this question. Dear friends, as such we do not have any specific curriculum to offer you training on the ongoing projects, but then yes, a lot of engineering students for their third year vocational courses are coming to Beltron, and MCA students also. And for shorter duration, yes, we are attaching them to different ongoing projects in the field and also in different departments of government of Bihar. We are trying to attach them like state data center, etc. Now, recently, I have started giving some projects also to engineering students and MCA students for developing it, and if that works well, then it is hosted also. Those kind of projects also we are starting. So you can definitely come to Beltron and given a right kind of enthusiasm, seeing a right kind of enthusiasm, we can definitely try to devote and give debut on some live projects where you can really learn. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. My question is the NALEC director. Basically, Bihar does not lack talent, but transformation of talent into a professional is missing. So what we require is a high-end training center and a proper curriculum in which the students are basically migrated into a professional. Does the state government and NALEC has planned to set up such kind of center in Bihar? Because most of the, and is there any policy that any subsidization of such kind of training is available so that professionals are being produced in Bihar itself rather than people have to migrate to metro cities and then get trained and all this thing? Thank you very much.
I think this is a very good and relevant question for everyone. The Government of India has come out with number of policies. One of the policies basically I think which is already there, which is called STAR policy, where it is being described that any youth who is going for a training and fees to the tune of 10,000 rupees will be reimbursed, and of course you have to pass the exam. That exam will be either conducted by NALEC or will be conducted by the technical sector skill. It may be a telecom sector skill, maybe a reference sector skill, maybe a medical sector skill. There's a policy already there in the budget, already a provision of 1,000 crore rupees has been earmarked for that. Now, second question which you said is that regarding the high-end training, we are presently operating from a free of cost rental, built up space being given by Government of Bihar only. But the moment our center comes up in Bhita, we will be starting number of courses which include the formal courses also, non-formal courses also. We are already in the process of tying up with number of industry, because I do understand that besides training, see there is a difference between the training and the capacity building. Training is only giving you the theoretical knowledge, whereas once you go for the capacity building, it includes many components which even include the soft skills also. How to face an interview, how to talk, how to write, and then how to correspond. So body language. So we are working out on that. Even day before yesterday I was there in IIT Mumbai, and we have signed an MOU with IIT Mumbai also for running courses in the field of animation multimedia. It is good luck that when I landed over here, I could know that already an industry is operating. So maybe we can start, along with the tie with him, we can start other courses also in multimedia animation. Besides this, we are planning, because now if you see, the demand of time is cyber crimes and mobile computation, that is mobile governance. So these two courses also we are launching, and we are planning to tie up with any good institute where we will run these courses. Besides this, we are already in process of signing an MOU with IIT Kharagpur and Indira Gandhi Technical University for 1 year PG diploma in e-governance. Because what is happening in the e-governance, more component is the governance part, less is the IT part. So we need to have youngsters, because even the IT industry does not have a professional who can handle the e-governance. So it's a more of governance component. So we are working out on that also, we will come out.
Thank you so much, all the dignitaries, for patiently answering all the questions. We can have the rest of the questions probably in the next session, since we are running out of time. May we please have the privilege of offering a felicitation to all the dignitaries. For this, I would request Shri Atul Sinha ji to do the felicitation. Can we have the mementos and shawls, please? Starting with Shri N.K. Sinha ji. Can we have a huge round of applause, please? For all the dignitaries who have taken out their precious time. To Shri B.V. Naidu ji. To Shri Barry Sandhu ji. to Dr. Ashwini Kumarji, to Shri Vinod Nairji, and to do the felicitation to Shri Atul Sinha ji, I would request Shri N.K. Sinha ji. Thank you so much all the eminent panelists and all the dignitaries, and also to the audience for bearing with us. We would now break for a half an hour lunch, and we'll meet in another 30 minutes time.